Kirsty, it's not showing.
Can you see my screen or can you not see my screen?
No, we can't.
You can't see anything.
I can. I can see a heart and it says marketing strategy and plan.
Okay, who can see my screen and who can't see my screen?
I can't. We've just got a blank screen.
I can't.
Oh, intriguing. Anything now?
I can see marketing objectives. You went back to the same page.
Yeah.
It could be that you're the nearest in Cambridgeshire to Norfolk, but it's not reached anybody else,
I'm at
Kirsty.
County Hall.
Well, I'm here
County
in
Hall
Norfolk and I can't see it.
You can't see
me
it.
neither.
Okay.
I have to say that I'm actually in Bruges. I'm nowhere near UK.
Oh,
so I'm
wow.
the furthest away now that you.
It's on. It's on, Kirsty.
Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right, I'm gonna just see when I pressed this button the other day, it worked brilliantly. So I'm just gonna press this button again and see if it works again. And if it doesn't, then we'll do it this way. But if not, bear with. Just do it one more time because it worked so brilliantly when I did this on Tuesday. I thought, exciting new
It's
Microsoft
here, Kirsty.
function.
It's here.
Oh, brilliant.
There you go.
That's
right,
super.
we'll give you the floor.
Okay, super. Okay, so for those of you who haven't met me before, my name's Kirsty. I'm your Regional Marketing Manager for Foster East. What I want to do today is take you through where we have got to with the marketing plan for Foster East, because we are starting our marketing campaign very softly on Sunday, which is only 2 days away because it's the 1st of September on Sunday. So I wanted to tell you what we've done, how we've got to where we've got to, and what's going to happen next, so that then hopefully you can give your colleagues that information so that nothing comes as a surprise to anybody when this all happens. So I'm going to run through relatively quickly, hopefully, so we can all get off by 10 to 3, the objectives, the research and analysis we've done, segmentation, targeting, positioning, our integrated marketing plan, tactics, and then what happens next. So here we go. So I'm just going to remind you, as you all know, the marketing objectives. So the marketing objectives that the marketing campaign is running is raising awareness of the benefits of being a council foster carer, driving at least 1,000 potential fosterers per month to the Foster East website, and that's to the Foster East website, not to your council websites, and encouraging at least 4,021 people to make initial contact between now and March 2025. The numbers there are all the DFE contact targets that we've been set, so none of those should be a surprise to anybody, just here as a reminder. So what have we done and who is we? Who is we? Each of you has very kindly fielded at least one, if not two, members of your comms and marketing team to the Foster East marketing team. They are a brilliant bunch. I'm really, really lucky to be working with them all. They've all got incredible insight and experience and knowledge, and I'm really enjoying having made up a team with them. What we've done, so as you know, we've had several in-person meetings over in Cambridge and at Stevenage. We've been continuing those on. We have fortnightly comms and marketing meetings. But what we did to start off with is we analysed every single council's marketing budget, what they were currently doing, what they were currently spending their money on. We also looked at campaigns that have worked. So that was the analysis we did per partner. Then we also looked at the ONS data, looking at the demographics across the east of England, because when this was first announced, we were very aware as marketeers that the makeup of Norfolk, for example, is completely different than the makeup of Luton, and the same for Hertfordshire and Bedford and all different areas. We're actually quite different. So we've done a lot of ONS data analysis, but then the other thing that we've done, and thanks to the insight analysis team here at Norfolk, we've done some pretty in-depth mosaic analysis of each area's approved foster carer postcodes for the last 3 years. So what we did was we got a postcode of the last 3 years of foster carers that you have approved in your area. We put them all through mosaic analysis because we wanted to see if we had any similarities or if we had any differences, or who we would be most likely to target, so we could understand who is most likely to respond to a marketing campaign. So across the East of England region, we've got 2 common-ish groups, which are called D Rural Reality and C Country Living. I'll come on to them in a moment. And then we've got 3 low-hanging fruit groups, which we've agreed with the ones that we're going to target across the region, which are our aspiring homemakers, family basics, domestic success. We also know now who the top 20 groups are across the region, and each region knows who their top 5 groups are. And your comms and marketing people have got all this data, but if you would like me to send it to you, I can more than happily send it to you. So the following 5 slides show who these people are. So this is one of our more commonish segments. These people, rural realities, slightly more likely to be a single female than a family, likely to be older, likely to have one or no children currently. Use of technology, you can see here with the House of Technology, is low. They're still likely to use the internet to research purchases. They watch 30 to 40 hours of television a week. They're likely to listen to the radio from a smart speaker. This other large segment that we've got, country living, these people are much more likely to be married. They're less likely to have children still living at home. They've got a digital radio at home. They also watch an awful lot of television a week. So these are our older target audience, who probably isn't an audience that we really want to focus on, because our sufficiency strategy says that we could do with some younger people so that we get to work with them for longer. So this is one of the low-hanging fruit target audiences that we're going to go after, aspiring homemakers. So with these people, aged about 26 to 35, use of digital TV is high. They're more likely to reply to an advert than via any other means. They're less likely to be married, more likely to be a blended family or a family who don't have any formal relationship. They're more likely to have one or two children already. They watch between 10 and 20 hours of television a week. They're highly likely to have a smart speaker. They're very likely to make a purchase after hearing an advert on the radio or seeing it on their TV or mobile phone than on the internet. It's fascinating what Mosaic can tell you. I've had some really interesting rabbit hole delves with this, as you might imagine. And next one is family basics. This is a slightly older group, 36 to 45, just as likely to be unmarried as to be a married couple, likely to have around 2 children in the home at any one time, could be of any age. They spend 10 to 40 hours a week watching TV, of which at least 9 hours watching video on demand from their games console or their smartphone, which I found very reassuring. Mostly likely to listen to radio on their phone, on their mobile, likely to purchase or make inquiries, having seen a poster, received a flyer, or seen an ad on their mobile or on a TV. And then our final group is domestic success, 36 to 45. This bunch are more likely to be married than single. They're likely to have 2 or more children. Slightly more likely that these children are older teenagers. They watch at least 10 hours of TV a week, of which 3 to 8 hours is video on demand. More likely to listen to radio from a smart speaker or a digital car radio. Will listen to more radio at the weekend. More likely to make a purchase having seen a poster, heard a radio advert, or seen an advert on their mobile phone. So those are our target audiences. And what I've just done here is pulled together the word clouds that Mosaic provides us. So you can see at a glance, so we've got H top left, I in the middle, and then G at the bottom. These are the kind of people that across our region we've concluded are our best target audience. So in summary, we've got 2 segments. This age band 55 to 50 to 66, which we don't really want to target because we know we won't get loads and loads of years work out of them, but they're still in the mix, versus this age band 26 to 46, where we want to really raise the awareness of becoming a foster carer and really put it on their radar so they can really understand that, oh, this is a possibility for me at some point. These are people we want to encourage according to our sufficiency strategy. So what this tells us is we've got the opportunity to use several different channels to communicate with our target audiences. So positioning, some of you will have seen come along to the presentation that I did, or I showed to you, that our lovely chum Desi did a few weeks ago. Some of you won't. So I'll just go back over positioning. So what's positioning all about? Positioning is about setting out our stall as Foster East and saying who we are and what we actually mean. And so our friend Desi did a lot of creative thought for us and came up with what is Foster East's core thought. And our core thought is love. What's the biggest barrier for carers? And we concluded that one of the biggest barriers is actually self-doubt. Can I do this? Am I fit to be a foster carer? Am I capable? Is my life right to be a foster carer? And so what therefore is our creative thrust as Foster East? Ours is about inspiring carers with the magic of the mundane. We need to tell people that we just need normal, everyday people. They don't have to be perfect. We want real people with real personalities who are ready to do a real job. So just to remind you of how we got to that, for those people who missed Desi's creative pitch, and if you missed it, I have got a link to it so you can have the benefit of watching it again, because it is absolutely fantastic. They presented 4 ideas, and we've concluded we're going with this one idea as our creative thrust for Foster East, or our red thread, as I often call it. So foster children don't need their carers to have a big fancy house, buy them expensive toys or designer clothes, or provide constant entertainment. They have a much more basic need, the universal human need to feel loved, which shows up in the ordinary, everyday moments of family life. They need someone to pick them up from school, teach them basic chores. Plan a movie night, join them for a walk. So let's celebrate the magic of the mundane, because it's the ordinary days that build extraordinary lives. And that fetches up with your everyday is everything they need, which is going to be our red thread for the whole of the Foster East campaign that we run. And actually, when you think about it, it's got a dual meaning to encourage potential foster carers, but also describes the day-to-day working lives for everyone who's already working every day to change children's lives. So tactics and marketing plan, where did we get to from that? So once we've done the positioning and the segmentation and the targeting, we now start to think about tactics and marketing plan. So we had a great session over in Cambridge again, where we analysed different types of campaigns. Different people brought the different kinds of campaigns that they'd done. We looked up, we thought what worked well, what didn't work. We also spent quite a lot of time considering the varying budgets across partners, what people have spent money on, what they don't, and what, according to our target markets, what kinds of channels we ought to be thinking about using to actually get to those people now that we've got all this incredible data at our hands, at the kind of thing or the kind of channels that people respond to or don't respond to. So we've concluded that we're going to run a wide-ranging digital campaign using new digital channels. And these new digital channels are new to most partners, which makes this really quite exciting, because I believe as a pilot program, we should be doing new and different things to attract our target audiences now that we've got all this data about who our target audiences are. We will be 100% focused on our red thread, the target audiences and the segments. There'll be no deviation. We have to be focused because whilst we've got a lovely budget, we still have to make choices. We're still not McDonald's. We haven't got a budget of millions. We still have to make choiceful marketing choices. And the other thing that's interesting about keeping it as a digital campaign is we can target most elements per authority area. So that means where we know that we've got a particular target area in, say, Bedford, which is completely different than the target area in Norfolk, because we're going to use digital marketing, we can target separately. We don't have to roll out the same targeting for the whole of the east of England, which means less waste, basically, and a much more effective campaign. So this is one of my favourite slides, and I will explain what it means to you. This slide was part of a mini MBA in marketing I did a few years ago with a professor in marketing called Mark Ritson. So one of the things that we noticed when we were analysing people's budget is that a lot of people are just spending their money on one channel, and that's great. 29% of companies only ever do one channel when they're doing marketing, and they're going to achieve some results. That's great. But in this research that they did of 3,200 campaigns, they concluded that when companies, and 31% of companies, choose to use two channels, the campaign is 19% more effective. That's a big jump. When companies choose to use three channels, the campaign suddenly becomes 23% more effective. When somebody has the budget and the ability to use four channels, the campaign becomes 31% more effective. And then you get to five channels, the campaign's 35% effective. And for the avoidance of doubts, each channel is a paid form of marketing. I'm not talking about putting out a free organic post on Facebook. That does not count. Each channel is a paid form of marketing, the exception potentially being PR. If you can achieve some PR, that's a great channel, but PR is not a foregone. You can only put your press release out and hope somebody picks it up. In the main, you have to pay to get your message across. So the channels up there, we've got online, press, social, mobile, outdoor, email, radio, TV, cinema, direct mail. Any of those could be a channel. And so what we need to do is choose the channels that are going to be the most effective and get us the most results, we think, for the target audiences that I've already talked to you about. So we get to the integrated marketing plan, part one. And I've got some, yes, that little thingy there is moving. It's an animated advert. So starting on the 1st of September, which is Sunday, we have got an always on digital campaign, which is on Google and Bing, and we have 9 partners participating in that. So Hertfordshire and Essex, when we analysed their budgets, we ascertained that they already spend massive amount of money on digital advertising. They spend more money on digital advertising than we as Foster East are able to spend for the whole region as a whole. So it makes no sense for them to participate in that part of the campaign. So they have opted out. We're going to run an always on social media campaign, and we have 7 partners in that. Again, when we analysed budgets, we ascertained that several partners are already spending an awful lot of money on social media. It was better for them to opt out of that bit and obviously to use the assets that we provide, but to use the budget that they've already got to carry on marketing to people via those manners. Everybody is going to participate in our mobile advertising campaign. Now, mobile advertising is a slightly different kettle of fish. Everybody in our target audience has a mobile phone. The use of technology, whilst stretching from low to high across the targets, everybody is using a smartphone. So it makes sense to use a dedicated mobile advertising platform to actually place adverts on mobile phones. The click-through rate for the mobile phone advertising is phenomenal. So I'm really interested to see how that's going to work. We also have some case studies that are currently being filmed. The first one is due to be filmed in Hertfordshire next Friday. We've asked each region to kind of field one of their, either an ambassador or a foster carer who will talk with passion about why they came to become a foster carer. And again, we're focusing very much on the foster carer themselves and why they chose to do it and what support they've got from the council, because we're trying to set ourselves apart from other people by really including information about what makes fostering for the council different. And we're achieving that by using these case studies. So the case studies, there'll be various versions of them that we will use in various advertising settings. And we've got 8 planned. I've got 5 currently written up and ready to go. I need to find 3 more, and they will be added to the digital campaign. I've got a little spreadsheet in a minute which will show you how that will happen, and steadily as the campaign runs. We're also filming a new television advert. I'll come on to that in a moment. The TV advertising will go live within a complimentary radio advert on the 7th October and runs 15th of November. And then for those councils who have the budget, they're going to add in an outdoor campaign as well, because then we only hit 5 channels. So Foster East is providing 4 channels. Councils that have the budget will provide the 5th channel, which should give us the most effective form of marketing campaign that there can be. So this is very hard for you to see. I'm sorry, it's a little bit small, but this is my little Gantt chart, which shows what is happening when we're adding in the new case studies, when the campaign's going. So you can see the long line across the top, that's our always on digital or mobile advertising campaign. The search display and social media campaigns for those partners of opt-in are also always on, but I've done them more in little chunks just to show you where we're going to change, because to keep that fresh, we need to change the adverts for that every month. So every 4 weeks, there'll be new adverts added in. Every 4 weeks, we'll be reviewing which advert's working really well, which advert is not working really well, taking them down, putting them up. We're starting our advertising with the imagery that the DFE have provided us, but we'll be taking some of our own images once we film the TV advert in a couple of weeks' time. So we'll have 2 blocks where we have a big integrated campaign where we bring in the TV and the radio, as well as the digital, as well as the mobile advertising, and as well as the outdoor campaign, if your council has got the budget for it. Excuse me one moment, I just need to. Oh, that's better. So budget, which I know is very important. So there is a little bit of TBC on here because we've got phase 1 and phase 2. So phase 1, at the minute, we are doing quite a lot of prep work. So we're spending a fair amount of money on prep for creative. So graphic design, TV advert, case study filming, radio advert, all that kind of thing. I don't 100% know exactly how much that's going to come out at yet, because I think I've saved just about £5 with the radio advert that I'm doing, but I just need to wait and see when that comes out in the wash next week, or even the week after. So I think that's a reasonable percentage of the budget to spend on getting some really strong creative work. So digital and social advertising, spending around 30,000 on that in this tranche, which is September to December. Mobile advertising, spending 20,000. TV advertising, we're spending 67,000. That includes an uplift for Hart and Essex, who have opted out of the digital advertising. And then we're planning on spending 38,000 on radio advertising. Research tells us that your TV advertising becomes 80% more effective when you have a radio advert running at the same time. So we'll see how that works. It's very difficult to report on the effectiveness of radio advertising because you can't click on anything. Whereas with TV advertising, because we are using video on demand radio TV advertising, if people have a smart TV, there'll be a link to the Foster East website as part of the television advert, and people can actually click the red button and go straight through to the web page from their TV. Now, that is a bonus feature. Okay, not everybody knows that exists, so we can't really count it as a big kind of mechanism at the moment. It's just the bonus feature, but it's really interesting to see. Similarly, the radio advertising, because we know our campaign needs to be digital, and because we know that the majority of our target audiences have smart speakers in their home, we'll be using digital radio rather than FM radio to play our adverts to people. And the beauty of digital radio is that you can target people again. So we can say the kinds of people that we want to play our radio advert to, which again results in less wastage. We're going to run the campaign, as I said, from the 7th, or the integrated campaign, where we put the large elements back in, from the 7th of October through until about the 15th of November, at which point we will analyse, review. Well, I say at which point, I'll be analysing and reviewing every single day, probably. And when I look at this campaign, I'll be looking at the analytics, looking at the stats, seeing what's happening, seeing what we need to tweak, seeing what we need to change. But we'll do a major review and really look at it all and see how it's working once the integrated campaign is over. And then we will tweak, review, work out what we're going to do, and then confirm for definite what we're going to do in the kind of January, February tranche. I imagine it will be more of the same, but we might just move some budget around a bit, depending on what's worked here and what's will not work there. And also depending on, I've got a couple of little contingency pots at the moment. If I've catered for all eventuality, then we can spend the contingency, then the contingency will go in those pots as well. But I like to make sure that we're definitely not going to go over budget in any way. So there's plenty of time for us to sort all of that and achieve, hopefully, our objectives by then. What's it going to look like? Here's another good question. So this is what our social media adverts are going to look like. So you will remember the DFE showed us what they thought our adverts ought to look like, and we disagreed with them. And so we did our own brand guidelines and tweaked things here and there. And this is what our adverts are going to look like. Now, these ones are all voice of the carer. We've got a corresponding set which are voice of the child. And we're doing some A/B testing, which means that on all the digital platforms that we're running, we'll run the How Was Your Day advert, which is voice of the carer, for next to the voice of the child advert. And then we'll A/B test it to see which works more effectively. I know, for example, in Norfolk, that lots of people click on voice of the child adverts, but I also know they have the worst conversion rates. I know that people are more likely to convert from a voice of the carer advert. I don't know if that's the same for everybody else in the east of England. Other people think it's different. Other areas think it's voice of the child that works better for them than it is voice of the carer. So we're going to A/B test across the piece and see what happens. The other thing I want to mention is brand equity. So we've taken quite an unusual decision, but I think it's going to be really interesting to see how it works. That in this first tranche of adverts that we're doing from September to March, we are going to use what's called partnership marketing on Facebook. Now, the reason for that is Foster East currently has no brand equity. We've already come up against it here in Norfolk, certainly when we've been out and about at shows, that people have assumed that Foster East is just another IFA. And that is something we need to avoid at all costs. We need to really firmly establish that Foster East is to do with the council, or is something to do with the council in people's minds. So with that in mind, what I've done is we are doing what's called partnership marketing. So for all those partners that have opted in for social media, we're doing partnership marketing, which means that the advert comes jointly. And the example here is that the advert is coming jointly from Norfolk County Council and from Foster East. So across the region, the advert will come jointly in the first instance from your council and Foster East. And this has all been programmed and set up so that in Bedford, the advert will come from Bedford and from Foster East. In Luton, it will come from Luton and Foster East, so that we leverage the brand equity of the council and we firmly establish that Foster East is to do with the council in people's minds. As soon as they've clicked on that link and gone through to the Foster East website, they will see that, you know, we are a collaboration of 11 councils, etc., etc. But we need to get over that kind of vague suspicion, or what is this Foster East kind of thing, in the first instance. Now, again, this is a bit of a test to see what's going to happen with this one. I think, well, the agency and I have thought about this very, very carefully. And what we hope we will do is, within the first tranche of adverts from September to December, we'll build brand equity and people will know what's happening, but we will review it and see what's happened. And then if we still feel we need to leverage the brand equity of councils more in January, February, we'll carry on doing this. But if we don't, then we'll just go straight with Foster East and just advertise from Foster East. I think this is really important for social media, because at the minute Foster East's social media page and Facebook page is pretty bare. It's got, you know, 5 or 6 posts that are scheduled to go out over the next couple of weeks. But if somebody actually went to our Facebook page and said, well, who is Foster East? If they didn't click the link, they wouldn't really know. So that's why we've made that decision. I think that's quite an unusual decision. I think it's a really strong decision, but the proof will be in the pudding in due course. And then the television advert. So I'm really excited about the television advert. We are actually filming 2 television adverts for the amount of money that we've got. And again, we're taking the red thread. Your everyday is everything a foster child needs. And we are filming the television advert in a very, very normal family home. I can tell you it's a very normal family home because it's actually the children's comms manager's house that we're going to do it in. The production agency went round there and just thought it was perfect. It gives us the opportunity for lots and lots of different scenes. So one of the adverts is going to be more of a your everyday work day, Monday to Friday. So we're going to see things like packed lunches being made, PE kits being put in bags, general commotion as people run around a house getting ready to go out for school, foster carer and 2 kids going one way to school, other foster carer wearing a lanyard, clearly going to work. So we get the whole idea in that you could work, you might not work. Then we'll have homework scenes, bedtime reading, that kind of scenes. And then we're going to have another advert, which is so the first one of the adverts, we're only going to have the foster carer speaking. The second advert, we're going to have the foster child and the foster carer speaking. And then we'll go through a weekend, more of a weekend scenario. What we're trying to get to is to show people that we're after imperfectly perfect families with real lives, real personalities, real everyday situations, but also get this magic across, that there's magic in the mundane. And, you know, making sandwiches and packed lunches is magical actually for a child who's never had a packed lunch, and playing football in the garden with their foster carer is magical for a child who's never had that kind of thing. So the family that we've got here, we've got Anurag, he is from Ethics. We've got Hetty, who's from North London, and this lad here, Mason, the idea is that he looks as if he could be their genetic child. And then we've got Poppy here, who's from Colchester, and she is going to be the foster child in the advert. Clearly, we're not going to have big labels on people's heads going birth child, foster child. It will become obvious to people that that's what's going on during the course of the advert. But even if it isn't blatantly obvious to people, we're still getting across the message that your everyday is everything that someone needs. In the advert where the foster child speaks, it will be blatantly obvious that they're a foster child. And what we'll do by the power of digital television is we will play the TV adverts concurrently. So somebody will see one advert, and then the next time they see it, they'll see the other advert. So we're constantly reinforcing the story, but telling it slightly differently throughout the course of the campaign. We are planning on filming the TV advert on the 20th of September. The reason for that is, unfortunately, it's taking us longer than we thought. We had planned on filming it next week. It's taking us longer than anticipated to obtain the license for the young boy, because it takes about 2 weeks for the paperwork to come through. But that is what's going to happen with that. And then the other thing we will do with the TV advert is we will use the actors' voices from the TV advert to make the radio advert, so that people who listen and hear both will realise instantly it's the same campaign, because it will be the same voices. The chap has got ever such a slight accent, and that will just make it a little bit more recognisable as well. So once it's all live, then what? So we'll monitor analytics daily. We'll be implementing the email marketing follow-up for the warm leads for those councils who've bought into that bill, who are in at that level. We'll be changing the digital assets every 4 to 6 weeks. That is a big job. There were a lot of digital assets involved in this campaign, easily 40. And our graphic designer already deserves a medal for the amount of assets he's produced in the last 2 weeks for me. We'll review and evaluate part 1 in November. I anticipate I'll come back to you at that point and say, this is what we found out, this is what's working, this is what's not working. Obviously, in the meantime, if things aren't working, I'll have made some furious tweaks in the background. You need not worry about that. And then we'll confirm part 2 in December and what we're going to do, how we're going to move the budget round. If we're going to move the budget round, what's going to happen, whether I can spend the contingency, not spend the contingency, see what happens, and then launch phase 2 in January, when we'll add yet more case studies into the campaign. So that is my plan. I did manage to get through it in a relatively reasonable time. Fiona, if anybody's got questions, I will do my best to answer them.
Absolutely. It's difficult to see. I've got you on my side. Has anybody got any questions for Kirsty? Amanda?
I'll just add one. When are you doing the filming of the TV Steve?
When?
Yeah, when?
Friday the 20th of September is the plan at the moment.
And then when they're going out, sorry, you might have said that, when they actually going out?
7th of October.
Okay. Oh, that's quite fine.
It's a lot less tight than it was yesterday. We've changed the date slightly. Yeah, it is tight, which is why I was making inquiries the other day about from you, Michelle and Lynn, who's available to sign off for me.
Yeah, I actually really like it. I think that, if we look at why people are not coming forward, thinking they can't work and foster, worrying about cost of living alongside fostering, kind of tapping into all of that and all of those myths. I think it's really good.
You cut out a little bit there, Amanda, for me.
Oh, sorry, I was just saying to Kirsty, I think that when we look at why people are not coming forward to foster it, and it's, cost of living, not knowing that you can work alongside fostering and all of those kind of things. I think it's tapping into a lot of that, which is really good.
Thank you. And there's a couple of bits in the chat. Lou, you're saying just the amount of work that you've put into this, Kirsty, and amazing what's been achieved in such a short space of time. And you're a superstar.
That's very kind. Thank you.
And Tina's saying very impressive.